Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Kat Dory Zoo. Last time around, we made an exhibit for our camels and wallabies, and this time we want to expand on this by adding an emu exhibit. So we got some new wallabies, and we do realize that we do have to expand the enclosure slightly on account of there just simply not being enough room for all these. Another disclaimer is I want to add voiceovers to the rest of my Planet Zoo speed builds, but not sure about travel videos. So as you can see, we're adding a large window here as to, give more viewing for our guests, but originally I actually had this set up where there'd be like dingoes behind this and look like, from a distance that they shared the same space. Another quick disclaimer is that I know that camels are not native to Australia. I know that they are technically an invasive species on account of the fact that there are only the wild dromedary camels left in Australia as opposed to their original native range being Africa. However, since Australia has quite a few invasive species, I'm thinking I might add a lot more than just the camels as well, but of course I will be indicating whether or not they are native to the continent or if they are an invasive animal to the area. So as you can see, I start work on some rock pillars to try and make the area look a little better. I know it doesn't look that good now, but we're still trying to save our money a little bit, and eventually we will spruce up the area to make it look a little nicer. We also add new education boards and also our donation bins, which really good stuff. And so what we're trying to do is now we're setting our null barrier for our emu exhibit. So when designing this, I kind of wanted it to be, long and narrow. And I'll be honest, I struggle with making exhibits realistically sized. I always make them so overly large that it just makes no sense and it irritates me. But with this one, what we're trying to do is we're trying to emulate the not Los Angeles, but Living Desert Zoo and the Kansas City Zoo's kind of emu exhibits in regards to like the style and shapes, if that makes sense. So as you see here, we're trying to like make a log fence using the Australian log pieces that we got in the Australia DLC. So that was a while ago. Like what was that? 2020? Oh, I feel old. Okay, so with the fence, I kind of want it to be, functional. Like obviously it doesn't look like the Living Desert Zoo fence, because we're not gonna have mesh in between here. But what we kind of want to do is we gotta kind of make sure that looks like something out of a real zoo, and that's just kind of what I want to go for here. So as we're building this, I kind of want to make it this, irregular shape. It's not like I don't know. Like I've never seen a perfectly square emu exhibit. Like I imagine I wouldn't have to look too hard to find one, but I just can't think of any on the top of my head. Like, possibly Garden City. No, wait. Yeah, possibly Garden City. I think Garden City's emu exhibit's, like, is somewhat rectangular to the point where it just doesn't look organic or really anything of the sort. Well, actually, yeah, there's a lot of them that are kind of rectangular now that I think about it. Like, Philadelphia, their Outback Outpost, which they mix emus and kangaroos, it's quite literally a dusty rectangle with like an Australian shack in it, which is not the most, beautifully designed thing in the world, but, it's functional. So, I wouldn't necessarily call it ugly, but it could just be better, yeah. So, right now we're doing some research for the emus. So, space requirements and, barrier heights. Good things like that are really important to consider when doing something like this. Alright, so we look at, what they can be mixed with, but I think I just want to keep them as a, standalone species for now, because right now, if we were to mix them with the camels or add kangaroos or wallabies or something like that, then I feel like it would just. I feel like we need more habitats first, because, that's what's gonna keep the people coming. Like, I'm not, we all didn't come to a zoo just to see one big ol' exhibit. Like, if we all did that, then, what would be the point? So, anyways, I didn't research one-way glass yet, so I decided to put in a temporary one-way glass barrier, which I'm not sure if there is an emu exhibit that has just direct glass viewing. Like, I actually did my research. I went on the zoo chat and everything. I could not find one for the life of me. I mean, granted, I guess you could say this, like, the height is also somewhat unrealistic, as I'm pretty sure an emu could still peck someone if they were being stupid and were, like, putting their hands over the glass or something like that. Like the thing to note with a lot of these exhibits is, it's not just animal safety, but also, how stupid or how could a person possibly hurt themselves in the presence of an exhibit is kind of the bigger question. So obviously we've been working on this front fence, and this is where I'm a little scared of, because it's just so narrow in some places. Like I might. So then we add this kind of incline point in which, we got add this, solid log barrier as opposed to the fence we've been going for most of the build. So those are kind of spaces where the fence, would look kind of unattractive to say the least. So of course we also add shelter, as our emus are gonna need that. We really looked through a whole bunch of them before settling on this one, and also adding a little bit of shelter. So of course we have our education boards, which I know they're set on wallaby right now, but once we get our emus in there, that's gonna change. So we gotta add our herb scent marker enrichments, as we haven't done any research for emus yet, and we really don't have a whole lot we can offer. So another thing we wanted to do was add, like, a moat here. I know that neither one of them uses a moat as a barrier, but the Living Desert Zoo did have a pool within the exhibit, so I thought this could kind of be like a reference to that, if that makes sense. But the terrain is, just not on our side, as, so yeah, we do gotta place some stuff somewhere else, It's not, I wouldn't say it's a pain in the butt. However, it can be somewhat annoying. So obviously we also have the log barrier over on the right side, so people don't stick their hands in the emu pen. So yeah. Then we start on terrain. So a lot of sand, but I do want to leave some grass patches, as so this is gonna be our outback section, where we have, like, a mix of deserts and grasslands. Not like one or the other, but like like it's not often you see a lot of terrain in an emu exhibit. Like, heck, probably the most terrain I've seen in emu exhibit is probably either Kansas City or the Bronx. Like, the Bronx, if you don't know, they have an emu outside their birdhouse where it's quite literally it's a not really a tra- heavily influenced landscape, but it's just as if like just imagine your local park, but like concrete walls around it, and you got the Bronx's exhibit. As for Kansas City, they also have like a downhill slope that's actually surprisingly steep for an emu. Oh, hang on. So this is when I started to realize that the guests were starting to use the invisible path, or the null path, but yeah, that didn't last long. So of course we update our boards, send the emus in here, and they cannot escape, which is really good. So we do some more research. We end up checking our work zones. We of course add it, and honestly everything's going real well. And our donation bins, we're just doing real good. So we go back to our wallabies and camels. So like we recently got a whole bunch of stuff. So we add some grazing ball feeders, add some new herb marker enrichments. We even put one on the little rock up front, like that. Oh yeah, like that. That I like that. Like imagine just seeing that as you're walking through the zoo for the first time. That would be amazing. So yeah, we just have our emus going around. Not sure what I was doing for. Okay, yeah, there we go. So right now we're just we're just looking around. We're just messing around a little bit as I'm trying to find a place to put our speaker for our emus. We gotta keep our guests educated. Which I'll be honest, in most of my zoos, I do kind of neglect putting in speakers because I just sometimes don't think it's worth my time. But yeah, when the ratings for your zoo show, that you've been really incompetent because you don't educate your guests, yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, imagine a zoo that has signs but like no fun facts about the animals. Like, yeah, I guess that would be a bummer. So yeah, as expected, this bit was way too narrow for the emus, so we do adjust the fencing. So, unlike a lot of people that I see who play Planet Zoo, I do pause the game whenever I'm doing something like this. I don't turn on the, make animals, unable to escape, which I just really don't like I know not a lot of people love franchise mode, but honestly, it's my favorite mode on account of the fact I like the aspect of preparing like the next generation of animals, and like having to like balance your finances, which I know doesn't sound like an attractive selling point, but for me it really it just like I could play for hours of not building anything but just sorting out animals, and then selling them to the trade center, getting new animals, etc. So of course we check back on our burrowing roaches, which are doing fairly well. So we do need to sell some of the babies because they overcrowd quick, and honestly it's nice to have some money in our pockets, which by the way, if you play franchise mode, one of the first things you need to do, get an exhibit animal or like an insect or something that breeds quick, like those emus. Like what were they? They were here for not too a camel just spit on somebody, and it's just funny. Okay, so this is the bit where we're trying to place down logs, so it's not just hey look everybody, it's the magical floating platform. Hey, I like magical floating platforms. Yeah, no one says that. it bugs me when so sometimes I'll let my cousin play and he will always leave a floating platform. It annoys me to death. Like, it's not that hard. Okay, so back to my advice. Again, do always get like an insect or spider or just in general an exhibit animal. Like, it'll generate profit real easy and really quickly. So we also had a second terrarium this time. So we're looking around and I decided on the blue tongue lizard, or in America we call them the blue tongue skinks, which I'm not sure if Europeans refrain from calling them blue tongue skinks. It's just that the game itself doesn't call them skinks. They just call them lizards, which it confuses me a little bit. It's one of those things that you have to adjust to when you play a British game. Like redneck wallabies. Like in America, we just call them Bennett's wallabies. Like I have never seen a sign referring to them as rednecked wallabies. So I'm not like, mad at this, but sometimes, it's just something you have to get used to, and sometimes it's actually kind of nice to, sometimes it's kind of interesting. Like, one time I knew a German guy once. So something interesting he said is that one of their terms for gloves was hand shoes, which I thought was actually kind of interesting. Like, it's one of those things that, you can't just make up. It just, I just don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's kind of a culture shock kind of moment, but, yeah. Okay, we've just been building our other terrarium and training out a whole bunch of cockroaches. Like no joke, if you're starting an Australian zoo, get the cockroaches first. You will not regret it. They will probably save our zoo financially. I am not even joking. So so now here's the bit where we get to add in plants. So obviously we don't want to add too many plants, but it's nice to have some foliage here and there. So we do add some trees over to the camel and wallabies. We add some trees in the gaps between the paths. And honestly, it's just really nice to have. So we also opt to add some bushes in the emu exhibit as well. I know that so yeah, I don't really know what I'm basing this off of. I mean, Kansas City, they're like, it's a really forested exhibit. Like, there are just trees everywhere in their, like, not even in their emu exhibit, but just around, to the point where there's so much shade. And then Living Desert Zoo is the exact opposite, where you have just, just big, dry, exhibit. So then we start work on our new sign, the Kat Dory Zoo sign. So yeah, we do get to work on this. So we so yeah. So yeah, obviously this is way too small for my liking. I mean, I guess this kind of works, but I just don't feel happy with this. Like, and then I did end up forgetting to show the footage of me placing the other logs on the other part of the platform. So yeah, we yeah, floating platforms. Yeah, we don't do that here. So then we also have to add them individually as well, cause like, not everything's gonna be perfectly aligned and straight. Like, I would know, like, in our last zoo, the Prairie View Zoo. So before I ended up, redoing the entire like mountain exhibit, yeah, it looked horrendous. Mostly because the foundations, for the most part, they weren't even connected, and if they were, they just looked horrific. So what I'm trying to do with these curved walls is I'm gonna make like a planter. Not sure what my planter is gonna have in it other than mulch for now, but there's always room for experimentation. And so yeah, so I'm just thinking about that, and also which shapes fit in here best, when all of a sudden, I just get this urge to make this bigger. Oh, so then our emus apparently had babies, like, immediately. Like, I kid you not, the emus haven't been there for that long. Like, I don't even know how long they've been there, but it can't have been that long. Like, I mean, granted, or at least in Planet Zoo, they do breed easy. So with the planter, I tried a lot of stuff. The wattle bushes, try some grasses, even like, and just a bunch of flowers in general. And before settling on this, and I feel happy with this. This pleases me. So I don't know why I felt compelled to do this, but I wanted to put the cassowary on top of the little pedestal, and I wanted this like little effect where like the kangaroos were like behind the O's, and I this was when I decided to expand it, because this just wasn't feeling right. It felt like there was too much, and I kind of wanted to spread it all out nicely and kind of evenly. So yeah, we kind of. So this was the part where this becomes a parade of excess. So imagine most of the signage in game, or a lot of the props in game, and we just use them like a whole lot. Like, like it's nothing to be ashamed of, but I try to be simplistic until it really just spirals out of control. So yeah, I really like to use Aboriginal, painting rocks. Like, these look nice. Like, I want to eventually incorporate these in some other build, but probably not for over here. And that. So then we start adding these little dots, because honestly, I think they look nice. And then this is when I found out we had these cattle gates as a way to keep people from going in and like touching all the totem, not totem poles, was it? Is Can someone comment down below what the totem poles from Australia are called? Okay, but that's it for our session, and remember, live life, see zoos, make memories you will not lose. This is the Random Zoo Visitor, and I'll see you next time.